Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, the 29th of October. It's not long past 10:30. I have been awake since about 10 to 9, which I'm pretty pleased with because Oogie had us up at 5:30. Whole story there. We had an electric timed cat feeder that would spin around when it hit the time it was meant to open. But the section's really small for her, and because she's had teeth problems and she's had teeth out, she gets in to bite with her front teeth and then she turns her head and she chews on one side. And so we've realised she's struggling with the electric one, and we've gone back to the more manual one where it's really quite hit or miss as to when it opens. Like you set it for how many hours in advance. So if it's going to be between now and 8 hours time that you want her fed, you set it for 8 hours. If you want it to open in 4 hours time, you set it for 4. And it's weird. It's got like bullet points or dashes for all the other hours, but it's like 4, 8, 12, 16, and it goes all the way up to like 48 hours. But again, it's not the most reliable. So she woke us up at 5:30 being like, where's my food? Because the other one is so precise because it's digital. Whereas like you set what the time was, like at that very second. Sorry. Like you set the time that it is at that very second when you're inputting the data. And then you tell it when it wants to open. So it's like a clock. And so she was getting so used to being fed on the dot at 5:30, which allows Scott and I to hopefully sleep. But this morning, because it didn't open at 5:30, she came in and she meowed at us and she told us how displeased she was that our feeder hadn't opened. And I was already awake, to be fair. Like I woke up before she woke us up, but it did wake Scott up. And then after she'd eaten, she came back in and been like, okay, I've been fed now, give me attention. And I was having none of it. I needed more sleep. Are you coming over? Hi, are you coming over? I don't think anyone would be able to see you. The camera's a wee bit too high. Puppy, you coming? You want your blankie? Yes, I talk to my cat like a child. She has several blankies. But yeah, I'm so sorry, my voice. I'm going to pause and clear my throat. Hopefully that'll be it now. I think I'm going to have to put my tea in the microwave. But yeah, I forced myself back to bed, which I'm very glad I did. So I got from 6 until 10 to 9, which was lovely. Then Oogie and I just had a wee, not a snuggle in bed because she was down by my feet. I just lay in bed and listen to the birds and just let her be. She's really taken to like sleeping on my feet, which is really annoying. Don't tell her that. She loves it. Like I feel really like I've got to move really carefully because I feel like if I'm not aware of her there, I might kick her. But she still sleeps there, so I must not have kicked her. So that's a good thing. But yeah, anyway, today's plans is a Monday, and I have no intentions of going out the house today. I do have to put the car back into the garage next week, and you all know how the last time it went in for an MOT. This time it's for a service, which I think is insane. I honestly think it's insane that it just went in for an MOT, but now it needs a service. And thankfully, we don't pay. Like, we have a plan with Arnold Clark where you get 2 MOTs and 2 services over 2 years, so one each year. And we had a message on our dashboard saying service due, and then it would count down the days. And we were like, we checked the app and we're like, okay, yeah, that's our MOT. Service says it's not due for another 2 months, so we can put it in before winter, or before it gets really, really bad at winter. So that was the plan. We were getting a pop-up also saying like our screen wash was low, so we topped it up. And the message still kept coming up, and I was like, that's weird. Maybe it's just like a wee fault or something. So maybe like the garage will be able to fix it during the MOT. Get out of the MOT, go to drive home, and both messages still pop up. And I'm like, I am not dealing with this tonight. No way. It's been a long day waiting for them to phone to say it was ready. And we left it like, what? That was 2 weeks ago, the MOT. And finally I phoned them last week, and unfortunately there was no one there, and they gave me a call back, which was really great. And I explained to them the situation. I'm like, hey, we're going to pop up saying our service is due, but I do think it was for the MOT, because when I check your app, it says my service isn't due for another 2 months. So either your app is wrong, or the car needs, like, it needs connected to a computer, and that error needs taken away. And she looked on our system. She's like, no, you are actually due a service. And I'm like, okay, but your app says it's in 2 months. And she's like, okay. And I told her about the screen wash. She's like, right, that's not normal. Let me check if there's like any recalls or known faults with this vehicle. And she done a check. She's like, no, there's nothing coming up. And I'm like, I just find it really odd that we topped it up, the error didn't go away. And then when we got a video of the MOT, the guy said he topped it up and the error never went away. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna have to ask a really stupid question. Does your screen washers work? And I'm like, yes, they work. They really do. And she's like, okay, I had to ask. And I'm like, I get it. I understand why you had to ask, but they do work. And she's like, right, we can book you in next Monday, which is the 6th of October. So that's going to be a whole shebang. We're going to drop the keys off on the Sunday again. Hopefully they will not lose our car keys this time. I did ask if it could be time slotted, so I can get the car back within like an hour or two. And she's like, that doesn't give us very long to investigate what's going on with your screen wash or your washers. And so I was just like, do you know what? I just thought I'd push my luck and ask. Like, you never know until you ask. So unfortunately, it is not a time slotted appointment, so that we're just going to drop the car off on the Sunday, and I'll probably not hear until 5:30 again, because that is our luck with this company, where we could be the first person to drop the car off on the Monday, because it's technically booked in for 8:15 in the morning. We could be the first person to drop our car off, and we'll be the last person to pick it up, which I think is a joke. But hey ho, I don't run that department. If I did, I would do it very differently, but that's just my opinion. So today's plan, after that little moan, is I've already done some cleaning. I don't know if the microphone will pick it up, but the washing machine is on in the background. I have cleaned 2 of the kitchen counters. Do need to clean the cooker top, but I'm going to leave that for later. I might even actually leave it until after dinner, believe it or not, because dinner's going to be a messy one. We're making enchiladas, and normally that sauce just gets all over the cooker top. So I might leave that until after dinner. I hoovered up yesterday. Scott done most of the dishes yesterday. I had to take the bin out. But today is going to be a great crafting day. I would love to get another square done on my Cozy Memories blanket, because I just want to make that a habit now on a Monday. But I've made amazing progress on my Ankers sweater my size. I'm showing you the back because that is where my stitch marker was from the last time I actually showed this off in a proper podcast. I know I've showed it off in the vlog, but I haven't shown it off in a proper podcast, mostly because I haven't recorded one in over a month. But I have used a full ball of yarn for the sleeves, and I'm at the point where it's a really good 3/4 length, and I am almost at the same point and I ran out of yarn. I think I'm just like a couple of rows short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've just started my 9th round, and then I would have done a decrease round and 1 full knit round. So I'm what, 2.5 rows shorter on this ball of yarn, this cake of yarn, than I was on the other one. And then I plan on using the last cake of yarn to bind both of those sleeves off, and then I'm happy enough with the length and the body, so I reckon I'm just going to go in and do the ribbing. But I might also just try and get a couple more rows in. Like if I can get 2 rows in and then ribbing, fantastic. I think I'll follow the pattern and I'll go down a needle size for the cuffs, but I'm not going down a needle size for the hem. I don't want it to go in because I think that would just look really bad on my body shape. I want it to just stay. So I just need to be really careful when it comes to the bind off on the body so that it doesn't flare out. But at the same point, I have a belly. It's not going to look horrific if it flares out. I just don't want it to flare out at the back. But yeah, I am so pleased I picked this back up. I put in so much progress. I've even been using like stitch markers because my decrease rate has been really interesting. So you're meant to do every 10th round. I went technically on the 20th, I'd done my first decrease, then on the 10th, then on the 5th, then on the 5th, then on the 5th, then on the 10th, 5th, 5th, 10th. Because I was trying on as I went, because I have very voluptuous arms. I have some lovely bingo wings, and I also have a decent amount of muscle here on my forearms, and so I can't just keep decreasing. I need to allow for the size of my forearm. So I was trying on constantly the whole time I was working on these sleeves. So I was decreasing, like I was allowing for my bingo wings, because there's nothing worse than having constricted arms right at the top. So that's why I done like 20 before I even started doing decreases. And then I done the 10, and then to get down to like my elbow, which kind of dips in, I did do a slightly faster decrease rate, and then I stopped decreasing as fast for, again, the musclier bit in my forearm. So yeah, I think currently it's sitting around here. I would, okay, maybe actually about here. I'd like it to get to here. That to me is a really great 3/4 length size. I don't want bracelet length. I think bracelet length looks great on some people. I don't think it looks good on me. So I would love that kind of perfect 3/4 length sleeve size for me. So I do need to see just how it's looking now that both sleeves are done. Well, no, they're not done. Now that both sleeves are almost at the right, same, almost at the same point. Again, ran out of yarn quicker on one ball than I did on the other. So maybe no, I don't want to attach another ball and then have to deal with that when I try on. So I'm going to pop it on my try on cord. I need to get this one sleeve onto a different needle. Sorry, I'm very groggy this morning because this is on a 10-inch cable, and I know the second I try and get my hand through that, I'm dropping stitches, and I don't want to deal with that. So I need to find another cable I can get that on. Then I'm going to try it on. We'll see how that goes fit wise. Then I can decide how much of this last ball of yarn will be going in different places, because I do think I could get the sleeves done and still have enough to do a couple more rows on the body and then the ribbing and bind off. So yeah, this could be finished this week. I'm not going to say today. I have other plans I want to do today. But this could be finished this week. I'm so happy. It's such a lovely sweater, not sweatshirt. It's a lovely, lovely sweater. And I will block it, but I don't think I'm going to like stretch it out. Maybe I don't want it to grow. That's the thing. I do not want it to grow. I think right now, perfect size. Perfect size. But yeah. I'm going to go shove my tea in the microwave because I've been yapping on for 16 minutes now. So I need to sit down and enjoy my cup of tea. And then I will talk you through some of the other things I want to get done today. And I'm just going to enjoy my day. So yeah, until the next clip. You just can't beat a cup of tea in the morning. I did microwave it, for anyone wondering. So, sorry, y'all stared at my head there. Also, Scott and I cut my hair yesterday. And I slept with my sleep bonnet on. But everything's still just a little bit crazy and sticking up. It did go just a little bit shorter than the hairdresser done it. And I'm fine with that. Like, I think Scott was terrified to cut my hair in case I didn't like it. I'm like, I'm asking you to do it. Like, I can't get angry at you. I picked the length for the razor, shaver, clippers. I get there eventually. So yeah, I can't get annoyed at him if it comes out the wrong length. Like I picked the length. Okay, so I've pulled two projects out. One you obviously just saw me pick up, and you probably saw all the ends because you saw the back. So that's going to be fun to weave in. Most of the time I've done like a weave in Steven method, but I still don't want to clip them because they're not secure. And then the other project I have picked up is my toaster tea, because this is getting frogged today. I would love to just have the yarn ready to cast back on once I have completed my Ankers sweater my size. And so the part of today's tasks is to completely rip this out, get the yarn set aside. I'm not even going to bother trying to soak the yarn, do you know that? I'm just going to go straight into putting it aside. Thing is, like, looking at this gauge, like, if I just hold, yeah, you can see me. You can see my face. Or at least I can see my face, and I'm looking through this. But, like, I don't know, there's something just looking at the gauge. I'm like, that's not a bad gauge. It does need to go up just a bit tighter, though. So, I'm leaving this out, and it will get frogged today. Like, I've been thinking about that and putting that as a Monday plan, so it needs done. But for now, I think I'm just going to, that's the one I just done, that's the colour I just done, size, put away. I think I'm just going to do a potluck of what colours are in here. And I'm just going to start my square. I'm going to keep watching one of the podcasts that I started watching yesterday. And I'm just going to have that hour to myself to chill. Then I'll do a reevaluate on any housework that needs done. The laundry should be done by then. It will need 2 spins. I like to try and get as much excess water out as I can. Then that needs hung up on a clothes horse. So I want to actually randomly slot in here. I'm so sorry if breathing, noises of breathing is annoyance for you. I noticed last week when I was editing the 3 Monday vlogs that, especially when I wear the microphone, you can really hear my breathing, and I shouldn't have to apologize for breathing, but I should preface this by saying, like, my asthma has been particularly bad recently, so I genuinely am sorry if you can hear it and it does annoy you. There's really not much I can do. I've got not a new inhaler. It's a newer one to me. I've had it since April. And it's a new to me inhaler that has like a built-in steroid rather than me having to use a steroid and a normal inhaler. So I do feel it helps, but I do feel my asthma is a bit more active than it was when I was just on a steroid and just on a separate one, although I hated carrying 2 inhalers around with me. So I'm going to give it another couple of months and then I might speak to the asthma specialist and be like, I don't know if this is helping, or do I need to be on a stronger dose or what? So we'll see. But just in case, like, breathing is an annoyance to you, like there are genuinely people out there that cannot stand the noise of someone breathing. When I was editing, I could really hear it and I was just like, that's annoying. So yes. Okay, so we had a red and then there's a brown underneath it and then a purple with pinky orange. So let's go with the complete opposite and we'll go like a very pale mint green with very, very pale pink. Or do we go the complete opposite again and do mostly white with some, no, I wouldn't even call it speckles, just splodges of colour. So we've got this one, or we've got this one, which is really lovely. So I think we're going to go with that one. I think that's the one we're going to pick. And then I've got all my stitch markers to mark which ones are the new rows. Or we could go crazy still and go with this one. I think I'm going to save that one again. Okay. Let's continue with the podcast and let's get knitting. I feel like the day is already getting away from me. I know I didn't start recording until 10:30. I've not long looked up at the Amazon unit. Again, not saying her name. I don't want to trigger anyone's. I don't like when other podcasts do that. So I'm not going to do it on mine. But yeah, I looked up and it was 10:30. I was like, okay, I'll finish this row, which then led into another row, which then led into another row. And now I've not long looked up and it was 20 to 12. It is now almost 10 to 12. And the reason I'm saying all this is because I have a self-imposed deadline of 12 p.m. for caffeine. And I normally always have 2 cups of coffee. Who am I? 2 cups of tea in the morning. So I've not long got up and made my second cup. it will take me past 12 to drink it, which is fine, because the last 2 days I've had caffeine up until like 12:30, and I've still been able to sleep. But yeah, I have a self-imposed cut-off of 12 p.m. for caffeine. So yeah, I'm just kind of gobsmacked that the morning is now almost entirely gone. And I'm not going to say I've done nothing, because I'm now reminding myself I have put a load of laundry on, put it on for its first spin, needs another spin in a couple of minutes' time because it takes 12 minutes for that cycle. I've cleaned some of the kitchen and the hall floor where something has been spilled. Like, it has to have been tea or something, or someone's coffee, and no one's noticed. So I have done stuff. I just feel like I've not done enough, which is really stupid, because I've done stuff. So yeah, there's that little brainworm nugget for you. Enjoy that. I have finally completed the square. It feels like it took way longer than an hour, considering it's now 1. Do you know, I just can't see the clock from here. Yeah, I've been taking it slow this morning. I've done a couple of things, like I've dealt with the laundry. I had breakfast. I had a second cup of tea. Been messaging Scott. So yeah, I got my Monday square done. Really, really happy. I just need to cut the end. Let me do that right now, actually. I'll leave about that much of a tail. Not really much I can do with that. It's very little yarn, which is a good thing. Like, I'm trying to use up scraps. Right, blanket just getting unceremoniously dumped, and we're just going to jump straight in to unraveling the toaster, because if I get this unraveled and I have the yarn sitting ready to go, then I can start the impromptu cast on with Maddie of House of Langford. Let's see, we're gonna get this in the first go. Yes, there we go. So let me pan the camera down. You can see the unraveling process, as boring as that is, and we'll have a little chat. So hi. Let's unravel. Oh, first knot. Oh, that's my first bit of yarn unraveled successfully. I'm just gonna set that to the side. Let's see. That's insane. Like, that had to have been like a knot in the original ball of yarn or something. Yeah, there's been a lot going on recently with my health. Nothing terrible. I've had my loading doses of my vitamin B12 because I am deficient in B12. I'm deficient in a lot of vitamins. As is most of Scotland, we're all deficient in vitamin D. So I take my vitamin D, as you've seen in my other Monday vlogs. And then regularly I become deficient in iron. And so, with a side effect to a new medication that I will not be continuing, I have found that I've become extremely deficient in iron. And instead of going to the doctor and having to wait for all that jazz, I just took myself off to Holland and Barrett's and I bought an iron supplement, like a liquid version. And I went with a different brand this time. Normally I would go with Spatone, which is a clear liquid that you can put into your juice. I think some people maybe drink it straight from like these little shot packets. I tried that once. It was a very big mistake. But Spatone in Holland and Barrett's, they wanted £20 for like 24 of these little sachets. I need a drink. They wanted £20 for 24 sachets, which is a bit insane considering you can buy a bottle of not so lovely iron supplement for £5 or £6. And when I bought it, I was using the last of last month's wage and therefore under a bit of a money crunch. And so I bought the £5 or £6 thing. I had two options. I had a Holland and Barrett's version, and then I had a branded version. And the branded version just says great taste or tastes great. One of those two options, but didn't tell you what it tastes like. And so that was a bit of a red flag for me. And so the Holland and Barrett's version says orange, like that's the flavour. And so I went with that one, which did have some added vitamins in, which technically I don't need because of the vitamins I take in the house already. But at the end of the day, it's not going to do you any harm taking more. It just gets secreted out of the body. But yeah, stuff does not taste like orange. It's one of the things where like I take the iron and then I take my effervescent shot, like my effervescent vitamin C drink, to kind of as like a chaser to the iron supplement, which is insane. But I do feel like that's helping a great deal with my energy levels. Like, you should have seen me the last couple of weeks. I have not been well. But yeah, I think what also helps is Scott and I are actively trying to eat better, less frozen foods, less pre-packaged foods, meals, frozen or fridged, less processed foods, all that stuff. And so yesterday, for example, we went through some of our recipe books and we made up a shopping list of things we needed to get. And where's my, I still have my wee bit of paper. And this was our shopping list. Excuse the really messy handwriting. I was very shaky yesterday morning. I think I had low blood sugar. So we've got 5 meals, or we had 5 meals planned. We had one last night. So in no particular order, we're going to have red Thai curry, which is chicken and sweet potato, cheeseburger pasta, bolognese pasta bake, fajita tray bake, and mild chicken curry. And so last night we made the cheeseburger pasta. which has allowed for leftovers for lunch for Scott and I for the next 2 days. So it's cheeseburger pasta for lunch today and tomorrow. Normally when we have leftovers, it's just for Scott. And that's because he's in the office and I work from home. So I could have like chicken tenders and my safe food, as I call it. My goodness, how long is this ball of yarn? But by having the leftovers as well, I'm eating less processed food, which is always good. For someone with a PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, less processed food is always good. So I feel really good for the fact I'm cooking more, even though I'm not much of a cook. Like, I could never do like, hey, first ball done. I know I said just a moment ago, that's quite a small, like a big ball of yarn. That feels really small. Okay, where's my end? There we go. But yeah, I'm not a huge cook. I'm not entirely confident, but I'm getting better. Like, I was super proud of myself yesterday for making such a big portion of home cooked food, all good stuff. I mean, the only thing that technically was pre-packaged was the stock cube. Everything else was cooked from scratch. And then being able to say, like, we've got leftovers for lunches so that we eat better during lunch as well felt really good, because Scott was getting into the really bad habit of not preparing something for his lunch and then going to Subway, which is not the worst thing he could have. It's not the safest because Scott is celiac. He cannot eat any gluten. And if you ever watch someone in Subway working, I am convinced every single topping is a sandwich. I'm convinced every single topping gets contaminated in some shape or form. And so it's always a bit of a risk for him. But they started doing baked potatoes, which, who doesn't love a baked potato? But at the end of the day, that can become quite expensive. I think apparently the baked potato is almost as expensive as one of the 6-inch subs, which he then had to pay a supplementary fee on top of to get the gluten-free roll. So yeah, tonight we are making... Oh, it's not on the list. Tonight we are making enchiladas. We're making turkey mince enchiladas, which will get packed full of extra vegetables to bulk it out, knowing that that will not leave any leftovers because we already have leftovers for today and tomorrow. And then I've got a wee whiteboard over on the other chair that will tell me what the next meal is. So I will be cooking tonight, and then I'm basically cooking every night this week. I've already kind of tried to talk Scott into the fact that he needs to learn to cook, and he needs to prepare one meal a week. But what doesn't help is he has like red-green colour blindness, so he can't see the red on any food, so he could easily give both of us food poisoning. But I'm not, when I say testing, that sounds horrible when it comes to your partner, but I've kind of pushed them to try and make like a vegetarian dish so that we don't have to worry about any sort of food poisoning. And so I think I'm going to remind him of that and see if he wants to try and cook something on Saturday, because I've left Saturday and Sunday currently open, but I need to make a plan for Sunday so that he has leftovers, preferably both of us have leftovers, on Monday. He's in the office Monday, Tuesday, Friday. The other 2 days he works from home, but not our home because there's no space. He works from his mum's. So yeah, all I have right this second at least. So I will speed this process up and I'll let you know when I'm done. So I can finally tick this task off my to-do list and I don't need to think about it anymore until I obviously recast on. But with the exception of one little bit of yarn, I have 6 bigger balls and then these these 2 slightly smaller ones which came off the sleeve. And then this is the little bit that I was talking about. I either just needed that tiny bit to cast off, or there was maybe like a knot in the yarn or something that I've undone. So I'm pretty pleased that this task is now done and I can pop this yarn somewhere safe that I will not forget where I put it, and it is ready to cast on my next and replacement toaster tee. Again, for anyone that's not really clued up, if you didn't watch the other podcast or the other vlog, because that was a very long video, I've decided that I'm going to redo the toaster on a slightly what's the right word? Tighter gauge, because as you saw when I held it up, like you could see my face through the fabric, and I would love to be able to just throw that over like a bra, but I felt like the gauge I had knit, which matched the designer, so I know I'm a very tight knitter. I've known for years. I always found it really funny when my mum and I compared our knitting. When done on the same needle, hers was so much looser and mine was so tight. I've known for years and years and years that I have such a tight, I'm a tight knitter, therefore my gauge is tighter. But I don't like the gauge a lot of designers give for the recommended needle size, and even when I get the gauge, I don't like the fabric. So I always like a slightly tighter gauge, a slightly tighter fabric, and so then I have to do all the tweaking, and that's not my favorite point because I've only really just started to understand how to tweak it and get the right size. So yeah, I decided that I'm not going to keep finished objects that are not going to actually work for me. So I have a couple of others that need ripped out, but considering this has taken around about 25 minutes to rip this one out and my wrists are not loving that fact, this is going to be the only project I rip back today. So 6 balls I need to find space for. I did dig out the other 2 skeins of yarn. I'm looking at a half, like a partially used ball of yarn in my little yarn bowl. I'm pretty sure I dug out the remainder of this yarn that was unused, and I'm just trying to think where I put it. I think I know where it is. I think I'm looking at it, but it's like buried under stuff. So I'll probably put it with that. I'll dig out the partially used skein as well and put it all together so that when the time comes, everything is good to go. But like, I don't know if I'll be able to show you my t-shirt, but just ripping it all back, it's created so much fuzz and it's gone straight for my nose and I'm so itchy. But I am covered in like blue fuzz, which is lovely when it's on a black t-shirt. But yeah, so that's now ripped back. I still can't quite see what time it is. It could be lunchtime for me and Oogie. who, by the way, I've not shown because you got to see her at least twice get her morning feed and shouting at me to feed her quicker. It's just what she does. Like, see, the minute she sees food coming, she's so vocal. It's amazing. But she's curled up snoozing right now. She is on her cat tree. She has been for hours. So that's why you've not seen her. It is coming up for her lunchtime, I think. I think that's coming up for 1:30. Again, I need to move a clock closer. But yeah, I'm going to find somewhere to put this yarn. It might even go in the container that my Anker sweater is in. There's space in there. And the Anker sweater hopefully will get finished this week. And if it is her lunchtime, I'll obviously feed her. I'm not quite hungry, so I think I might wait. And then I'll work on my Ankers. Actually, I'll do a fit test. That'll be the next thing you see, is the fit test for the Ankers. And we will go from there. I am pretty happy with this fit. I reckon I could probably just even out the sleeves, and then the leftover yarn I can put into the body. I would like a little bit more length having it on now, because I think if I block it, it's going to bring the armhole down too far. And like, when I mean block it, I'm going to block it, just not going to stretch it out. I'm not going to pin it, because it's already like a little loose, and if I try and stretch the ribbing out, it would bring it down, and I don't need it to come down further. I just need a little bit more length on the body, and I'll be really, really happy with this fit. I did put in some not shaping, just some extra stitches to accommodate the rounder stomach. Not pregnant people, just fat. But I'm actually really happy with these sleeves. I wasn't 100% sure on the length, to be honest. I normally think you may as well just work full sleeves and then roll them up or push them up. But I actually really like this length. If I felt I could get away with it, I would probably maybe just put in like an I-cord bind off, but I don't know. I don't want anything to roll, so I will even out the stitches like I discussed earlier. One of my sleeves is 2 if not 3 rows shorter than the other because I ran out of yarn. Then I'm going to put in the ribbing on the slightly smaller needle because I would like it just a little snugger around the arm, and then everything else will go into the body just to bring it a little, because that's just under my belly button. I'd like it a little longer, so I will work the yarn until I'm all out, and then when I'm all out, I'm done because I have no more yarn. So here's my fit check. Very happy with this, so hopefully the next time you see this, it will be done. Bye. So I'm going to start this clip by saying if you're vegan or generally don't like the look of meat or other people's food, this is not the clip for you. I will tell you when it is safe to look. But this is my leftover cheeseburger pasta. May not look appetizing, mostly because it is gluten-free pasta, and gluten-free pasta disintegrates very, very quickly. But yeah, this is it reheated. Yes, I am eating on my couch. So what? What of it? We do not have a dinner table. But I've just reheated my lunch, It's coming up for 2:30. Just working. I've been working away on my Ankers sweater, still watching podcasts, and just decided now was a perfectly good time to eat. So here is my leftovers. Hello. Many hours later, I am very happy to say that both sleeves have now been bound off. The ribbing has been done. This has left me with this much yarn. I am about to go find, if I can, my little mini scales that I have. I've got little jeweler's scales that go to like 0.1 gram because I need to work out how much a round takes, because the ribbing is 10 rounds. Then you've got the cast off, and so I've put 1 round into the body, and I'm not convinced I'm going to get very much more plain rounds before I have to start the ribbing. So I do need to find my little set of scales and just see how much a round takes, and then I'll be able to do some math and figure out. I'll probably add on like a percentage, because I think when you're switching between knits and purls, it does use just a little bit more yarn than it would if you were doing just knits or just purls. So I will need to do a little bit of math and then add in just a little bit of leeway for more yarn. And then probably, like, what's the rule of thumb for casting off? Is it like 3 times the amount you need for a round? That could be so wrong. Like, that could be like the most wrongest information ever. And yes, I realise I said wrongest, and that's not a word. So yeah, I've got some math to do. I think I know roughly where my little set of scales are. I'm hesitant to go over that way because I will disturb Oogie, and she is snoozing. But needs must, I would like to keep going, because there is a possibility I could get this done tonight, which would be lovely. But I also want to do some crochet. It's been a while since I've crocheted. It's been a while since I've worked on anything. And that includes a wee top secret project. So yeah, I might put this down for the night and then just move over to crochet. I might just find the scales and figure out my plan. It is coming up for 5:20. I've been watching a Meltdown 3 Mile Island on Netflix, which is quite interesting to watch. Terrifying, but interesting. Terrifying mostly because of how they treat their whistleblowers, but at the same point, not surprised how they treat their whistleblowers. So yeah, all in all, pretty pleased with today's progress. I am happy with the length of the sleeves. I did originally cast one off. The first sleeve I originally cast off with a 5mm needle because I didn't want it to be too tight. And then on the second one, I cast off with the 4.5 that I'd done the ribbing in. And I decided that it wasn't too tight and it was actually better than the 5. So I ripped out the 5 and I bound off at a 4.5 for that sleeve as well. And I'm much happier with that. And so now it's just a case of get the body done, get it finished, and that is a finished object. But again, we will see whether that gets worked on tonight. Probably start dinner. Well, I need to see when Scott got on the train, because then I can kind of time it with him walking home to the same point. He might not be hungry, so I don't know. I'll message him. I'll see. But yeah, all in all, I do feel that today has got away from me very quickly. I thought I would get a lot more done, but let's be honest, it's slow crafting for a reason. We're not going to instantly produce a finished item in one day, especially when you're of the bigger sizing. So yeah, I might honestly just put it away for today. yeah, I had to put progress into my crochet, but unfortunately I can't show that off because I want it to be a surprise for somebody. But you'll eventually see it, I promise. Just not sure when. So yeah, I'm gonna go put some of my stuff away. I've got it all kind of spread out over the couch, and like I say, Scott will be home probably in 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 40, depending on what train he got and if he wants to walk home quickly. So yeah, oh, I've got to go hang up the laundry. I forgot about that. Sometimes you just put all your focus in on your crafting and not on the housework. So there's that. I will check in later and let you know how the evening has gone, what I've got up to. Did I keep going with the sweater or did I change to crochet? So yeah. Sorry for the change in audio. I don't have my microphone on, but again, if looking at someone's food or meat weirds you out, don't look. But here's my mince enchiladas. Does not look the greatest because when I was trying to get it from the glass dish onto the plate, my gluten-free wraps broke. So, don't look the greatest, but it's going to taste amazing. So, here's to a homemade dinner. Hello, just checking in. Again, apologies for the change in audio. I don't have the microphone on, but I wanted to show you the results of my evening. I know it's not showing off too much, but that is being done on purpose. But I did put away the Ankers sweater and I've been crocheting the rest of the evening. And I got 2 squares done and I started a third. But Scott and I have decided it's now bedtime. He turned his laptop off and was like, I'm going to bed. And I'm like, well, what time is it? He's like, it's 9:45. I'm like, oh, I lost track of time. So it is bedtime. So I just wanted to show some sort of progress. I can show the bag that I've been working out of, full of scraps. That's about it. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this Monday vlog. If I vlog next Monday, I'll try to keep the ranting about the car to a minimum, depending on how long the garage take to get back to me. But again, just thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this, please do hit the subscribe, the like button, and drop a comment down below. It's always fun to read your comments and we can start a conversation. But yeah, do you want to shout goodbye?
Goodbye!
Until the next video, everyone. Bye.